All right, let's talk about moving into a Korean apartment. It can feel, well, pretty chaotic, right? We're going to change all that. The goal here is to turn all that guesswork and stress into a simple step-by-step system. No more of that "I wish someone had told me" that feeling. By the time we're done, you are going to have the exact playbook to get this right from day one.
This quote it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? A tiny, polite obstacle course. That's exactly what it feels like. A series of these little, almost hidden traps just waiting for you to stumble. But what if you could see them all ahead of time? What if you had a map? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to turn that obstacle course into a nice, straight path.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're tackling the money math before you even get the keys. Then, we're going to talk move-in day defense, super important. After that, keeping the peace with the neighbors, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with a super simple action plan you can use right away. Sound good? Let's dive in.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the money math. Because let's be real, this is where a ton of the stress comes from, right? And it almost always boils down to one specific, kind of confusing charge that trips people up.
And that charge is called quality. Seriously, this one word is probably the single biggest source of budget surprises for new renters. You gotta understand it's not some fixed universal fee, it's this bundle of services, cleaning, security, maybe utilities, that's completely different from building to building. And trust me, thinking it's just for a few plants in the lobby, that is a classic and very costly mistake.
So this leads to the million-dollar question, right? What does it actually include? This is probably the most important question you can ask before you sign a single piece of paper. Just hearing a number like, oh, it's about 100,000 won, is not enough. Because what's not included in that number can sometimes, and I'm not kidding, almost double your monthly costs.
Okay, so how do you get a real answer? Here's the secret weapon. I call it the operator trick. It's so simple. Don't just rely on a verbal promise. You need to ask your realtor or the landlord for a screenshot of a recent bill, with any personal info blurred out, of course. This one simple move changes everything. It takes you from guessing to knowing. You're swapping out a vague estimate for hard data.
And this is why you have to think about your total monthly cost, not just the rent. Your real payment is the rent, plus that jigwalibi, plus anything else that's billed separately. So think of this little chart as your pre-flight checklist before you sign the lease. You're going to go down this list: rent, building fee, electricity, gas, water, internet, parking, and get a firm, clear answer for every single one. That's how you find out what your actual real-life budget is going to be.
Okay, you've figured out the money, you've got the keys in your hand, fantastic. Now, your next mission, and it's a big one, is to protect your security deposit. And listen, this isn't about being paranoid or expecting the worst. It's about being smart. It's about creating a clean, undeniable record right from day one.
Now, the timing on this is absolutely crucial. You have to do your defect inspection the same day you get your keys. I mean it. Before your furniture arrives, before you even bring in a single box. Why? Because the second your stuff is in there, it gets really, really hard to argue that a little scratch on the floor or a scuff on the wall wasn't, caused by you. This inspection right now creates your official baseline.
And don't just, wander around aimlessly. You need a system. Here's a quick checklist. You're looking at the walls for cracks or stains. You're checking the floors for scratches or water damage. Look at the windows. Do they seal properly? In the bathroom, check for mold and make sure the water drains. Same in the kitchen. Run the water and look for leaks under the sink. And please, turn on the boiler and the AC to make sure they actually work. Test a couple of outlets, jiggle the locks. Remember, you're not looking for a perfect, brand new place. You're simply documenting the starting condition. So, to create proof that will actually hold up, you need to follow this super simple photo protocol for every single little issue you find. It's just a few steps. First, take a wide shot. This shows where the issue is in the room, it gives it context. Then, get in close for a close-up shot that shows the defect really clearly. Your phone's camera automatically puts a timestamp on it, so that's done for you. All you have to do is add a quick note in your phone, something like "scratch on bedroom window frame." Done.
Now, I really need you to hear this next part. A lot of people feel a little awkward doing this. They worry they're being too picky or that they're going to seem difficult. We need to reframe that in your head right now. You are not being picky. You're preventing a bill you didn't earn. That's it. You're just being precise in establishing a factual baseline to avoid a totally unnecessary argument later on.
And let me tell you, this system works. There's this great little story. A tenant was moving out, and the agent pointed to this faint little scratch on the floor. But the tenant just calmly opened a folder on their phone, pulled up the time-stamped photo from move-in day showing that exact same scratch. And you know what? The conversation changed.
Instantly. No argument, no back and forth, no drama. The proof did all the talking. Sometimes peace of mind really is just a JPEG file.
All right, so you're in. Your deposit is protected. Awesome. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about day-to-day life. Specifically, how to avoid becoming that new neighbor that everyone complains about. It really just comes down to mastering two things: trash and noise.
Yeah, the trash system in Korea can feel like you're studying for a final exam. It's intense, but here is the secret. You don't need to memorize some massive nationwide recycling system. You only need to learn the rules for your specific building. That's it. The rules are almost always posted right there at the trash station. And that last point on the slide is so true. The biggest mistakes always happen late at night when you're tired and you just want to get rid of a greasy takeout container. We've all been there.
So here is the pro tip, and it is so easy. Sometime during your first day, while it's still light outside, just go on a little adventure to find the trash station. When you find it, pull out your phone and take a few clear pictures of the signs that show the rules and the schedule. That is it. It's a 5-minute task, and I promise you, it will prevent like 90% of all future recycling mistakes and confusion.
Now let's talk about noise, specifically move-in noise. When you schedule your move actually matters a lot. Moving earlier in the day is always the better choice. You've got a way lower risk of getting noise complaints from your new neighbors. It's usually easier to get support from the building staff if you need it. And, bonus, you get much better light for doing that all-important defect inspection we just talked about. Look, if you absolutely have to move things late at night, just stick to the silent tasks, unpacking clothes, organizing books, save the hammering and drilling for normal business hours. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So now, let's pull all of these pieces together. We're going to distill everything we've talked about into one simple, powerful action plan that gives you immediate control.
And here it is. This is the entire no surprises system on one slide. It's 6 simple steps. 1. Confirm all those fees and utilities in writing. 2. Tour the trash station in the daylight. 3. Run that 20-point inspection walkthrough. 4. Document every single issue with our photo protocol. 5. Send one single organized message to your landlord that same day. And 6. Follow up a week later on anything that hasn't been fixed. That's the whole playbook.
And, that's really what this all boils down to. You don't have to be a cultural expert. You don't need to be a fluent Korean speaker to have a totally smooth, stress-free move-in. You just need a good system. The secret isn't about being perfect, it's about being operational. And now, you have the operations manual.